Hey y'all, Coach in the Fight here on June the 18th, 2020, and we're getting ready to do our new moon report for the fourth month of the sacred calendar. And in this video, we're going to talk about the events that occurred in the Bible during the fourth month. And we're going to talk about the relationship of the fourth month to the first day of summer. We're going to talk about when the new moon date is for this month coming up. And we're also going to tell you when the Sabbath days are coming up for the month Tammuz, and show you how those days are determined based on the new moon. We're going to touch on Enoch a little bit and how he told us how to calculate the days of the year. And at the end of the video, we're going to briefly talk on the Mayan calendar there. And probably the last 5 minutes of the video, we'll touch on the Mayan calendar and how it is back in the news. This is the month Tammuz, which is the fourth month as you see on the sacred calendar. We're in Sivan right now, which is the third month when we have Pentecost, or the Feast of First Fruits. And next month will be Av, when all of that temple activity goes on. But in this month, we're in Tammuz. This is the fourth month. Now, looking in the scripture for the fourth month, we see that there's not a lot of activity going on in the fourth month. But there is a little bit. If you remember the story, you find over there in 2 Kings how the temple was destroyed. Solomon's temple was burned and destroyed in the fifth month, the month of. Well, you can see in the fourth month is when Nebuchadnezzar started that siege on Jerusalem. You can see it was on the 9th day of the fourth month that the famine prevailed on the city. You can see the same story talked about over there in Jeremiah chapter 39, all happening in the 11th year of Zedekiah. So the 9th day of the fourth month was an important day. And so we'll be sure to let you know what day that fall on this year. Again, it's mentioned over there in Jeremiah chapter 52 and verse 6 about the famine taking over the land and the 9th day of the fourth month. Now, over there in Ezekiel 1 and 1, it looks as though Ezekiel got a vision on the 5th day of the fourth month. And over in Zechariah chapter 8 and 19, you can read a little bit about the fast of the fourth month. So there is actually quite a little bit going on in the fourth month. So my first thought was there wasn't a lot of activity going on in the first month, but now that I look at it, the fourth month, the month Tammuz, has its importance on the sacred calendar. So let's jump over and let's see when this month starts. Okay, we're looking at a website called New Moon, or it's called renewedmoon.com. This is a good website to go on when you're looking for moon sightings. There's a few of them, but this is one that's pretty reliable, telling you the moon sightings, after they have occurred. And they also give the projected moon sighting. And you can see here that they're saying that the next new moon will fall on June the 22nd. And notice how it's saying that we should be able to see this new moon all around the world, including Israel. It really doesn't matter where you're at. The new moon is still going to show up on that same night. Even if you have to wait, several hours for darkness to come into your area before you see it, it's still going to be on the same day. We have to remember that the Father put the moon and the sun and the other stars up there to be our calendar, so you can expect them to be extremely accurate. You see that over there, how he put those up there to tell time for us back there in Genesis chapter 1 and verse 14. But I want to jump over here and show you guys something as far as the new moon when you look on your calendar. If you have a calendar on your wall, or if you go to Google like I've just done and you've looked up the new moon for June of 2020, it tells you that it falls on June the 21st. But notice down here how it says that it falls at 06:41 a.m. Now, so you have to understand the difference between the Father's new moon, or the holy priest's new moon, the Levitical priest's new moon, and man's new moon. Man considers the new moon to be at zero light, when there is absolutely no light of the moon to be seen in the sky whatsoever. That's what he calls the new moon, and that's what you'll see on your calendars. But when it comes to the Levites and the priests, whose responsibility it is to announce to the rest of us that a new moon has occurred or has been sighted, and that a new month has started, they rely on the first sighting of the moon. They rely on what they can see, whereas man is relying on what he has calculated and something that he can't see, something that is actually invisible to the naked eye. The priests, on the other hand, they have to wait till they actually see the new moon. And I plan to jump over into the book of Enoch and show you how they were instructed to do that by way of the scripture. But we'll get to that in a second. Coming back over here to renewed moon, it says that the new moon will fall on June the 22nd, not the 21st, the 22nd. But let me show you proof of that. Now, what you're looking at is the fraction of the moon illuminated from the U.S. Naval Observatory, their astronomical applications department. For some reason, they have shut the website down or moved it so, people like me can't find it. But thank the Father in heaven, he gave me foresight to come in and actually capture this data. I actually went in and collected this data back when the website was available. I collected it for a number of years. But let me show you right here how the new moon sighting is predicted. You see right here how we're looking at the month of June. What this information is telling you is how much of the moon can be seen at any time. Right here where it says 1, that's actually talking about 100%. You can know that there was a full moon on June the 5th. Well, when you jump all the way down here to June the 21st, which is what man calls the new moon, you can see there's actually a zero moon. There's nothing to see there. The 0% illuminated. But the priests, however, need something to see so they can let everybody know that there is a new moon in the sky and that the new month has started. You could imagine if they was going by 0% illuminated, or a moon that they couldn't actually see, there would be a lot of confusion, especially when you would have a lazy priest who, would lay in his bed and say, yeah, I didn't see nothing. I didn't see nothing at all. And, and then he would declare it to be a new moon because he didn't see nothing. That's going by the 0% illuminated. But you actually have to get out there and look for yourself on the 22nd of the month, and you will see 3% of the moon illuminated. And that's what they would declare as the new moon. But let me show you something, probably the most important day of the 4th month. You see right here where you have 2 0% moons? It is in the 4th month that we have what's called a seasonal day. The sacred calendar actually has 364 days in it. According to the book of Enoch, the sacred calendar has 364 days in it. Let me come over and show you. We're looking in the book of Enoch. It's his section that he had in one of his books that talks all about the luminaries. It talks all about the sun, the moon, their trajectory across the sky, and how it is that we are supposed to use those in order to calculate time. You can find that in chapter 72, chapter 73, and chapter 74. He goes into great detail how we are to calculate time. And this is coming from the book of Enoch. Now, there is a lot of people who will want to reject the idea of using the book of Enoch in order to understand how it is that we are to calculate these dates. But usually these are the same people that want to come up with some other means of calculating dates, and they don't want scripture getting in the way of their calculations. You know, in other words, Enoch tells us precisely how to know when the year starts. It tells us precisely how to know exactly when the year starts, when the month starts, and even when the day starts. And so that scripture tends to get in the way of, people wanting to use things like barley harvest and wanting to use things like, use other means of calculating the months and the days. And so they'll tell you, to reject Enoch and don't have anything to do with, the extra canonical books. But like I said, I think the whole point of this is I'm saying that these people are wanting to hide the truth from you. They don't want you to know the truth. Like, for instance, the people who say that there are 354 days in a sacred calendar, or they want to say that there's 360 days in a sacred calendar. Now, none of that information is found in the King James Version anywhere. It doesn't tell you how many days are in the calendar. And so those individuals, I guess they think they can just make it up, that is so many days in a calendar. But then when you tell them, no, there are 364 days in the calendar according to Enoch, they say, well, I don't really, go by Enoch. But the thing is, Enoch was the first person to ever write a book on the planet. He got his information directly from the angels there. You probably remember the story of the fallen angels. Well, while there were fallen angels on the planet, teaching Cain's children how to make war and do all kinds of other stuff, there was righteous angels who did not give up their place in heaven, who talked to Enoch before he was translated and told him how the luminaries work, how it is that we were supposed to tell time. And you can see right here in verse 33, he told him that there are actually 364 days in a year, 364 days in a year. Now, how it turns out is what he was telling them is, okay, you have 360 days, but you have 4 additional days. 4 additional days. This day falls in the spring, the summer, the fall, and the winter. And so that's what you're seeing right here when you see there's 2 new moons right here, or these 2 0% moons right here. You're actually seeing that additional day, that day that starts the new season. And in other words, what I'm telling you is that day right there, June the 21st or June the 22nd, depends on how you look at it, is actually the beginning of summer. Whereas man is saying that the first day of summer is June the 20th, and he uses his own means to come up with that date. On the sacred calendar, which by now you should be aware is different from man's calendar, the summer actually begins on June the 21st. Now, in this year, it's pretty close, but in some years, there's some distance between those days. Sometimes there's 2 weeks difference between when the father season start and when the calendar season starts. And that's why, people have a hard time planting, especially, there at the end of winter, is because some years man will be telling us that the winter is over, but it will be weeks early, and then there will be a cold snap because the sacred season hasn't started yet. And so that's why a lot of times, the crops will be damaged due to frost late in the season or early in the season. It's because man's calendar and the Father's calendar don't match up. They're not the same at all. All that to say that the first day of the sacred calendar will actually fall on this day. It will start on June the 21st. Now, notice I'm saying that it starts on June the 21st. It starts in the evening of June the 21st. It is actually June the 22nd that you will be celebrating the seasonal change day, will be June the 22nd. Because if you remember, the days start in the evening time with the setting of the sun. That's when the day starts, with the setting of the sun. And then it will be on the setting of the sun on the 22nd that you will see the sliver of the new moon present itself, knowing that a new month has started, and that would make June the 23rd, the actual first day of the month. When you wake up in the morning on June the 23rd, it will be the first day of the month. Now, I know this is confusion for those individuals who don't understand that the day starts at sunset, but you have to, if you really want to get a grasp on how the Father's calendar works, you have to go by how the scripture says that the Father's calendar works. You can't try to make his calendar fit what our calendar says, what the Gregorian calendar says. You can't, project the Gregorian calendar onto the sacred calendar and, have your day started at midnight or at sunrise or some other, time or whatever. You have to go with how the Father told us to keep time. And the way he told us to keep time is that the days start in the evening. And if you think about it, it makes sense. When at sunset, that's the only time when everybody is awake. Everybody is awake at sunset. I mean, not everybody is awake at midnight to know when the day starts. Not everybody is awake at sunrise when the day starts. A lot of people are sleeping even when the sun rises in the morning, and so they don't see the new day come in. But, unless you work the night shift or unless you're sick or something like that, the majority of the people on the planet are actually awake when the sun goes down. And so they're there in order to bring in the new day. So that should make sense to everybody when you think about it. So we said we're gonna let you know when what the fifth day and the ninth day of the month will be. So looking here at the calendar, so the 23rd, which is a Tuesday, will be the first day of the month. That is a worship day. That's a day that we are supposed to worship. Is not necessarily considered a work day, but it is the first day of the month. And it's a lot of information I know I'm trying to present to you guys. So the first day of the month is on the 23rd. So that would make the 24th the second, 25th the third, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. So the ninth day of the fourth month, I'm going to call it Famine Day until I come up with a better word for it, will be on Wednesday the 1st. And you guys count too. I'm not really good at simple math. Counted on my fingers and stuff. If it doesn't have imaginary numbers in it, sometimes I have a hard time, doing simple math. So you guys look at this for yourself, starting on the 23rd, and start counting until you get to the ninth. You should get to the first, and the fifth day of the fourth month should fall on the 27th, Saturday the 27th. So you can think of the famine following on the ninth day of the month, and the fifth day of the month is when Ezekiel had his dream or his vision or something like that. Now, there will be individuals who will be wanting to put eyes on the moon for themselves on the evening of the 22nd. And, I will be out there, and I would advise everybody to get used to the idea of going out there and verifying the moon for yourselves. There's more people who are talking about this that have, some type of other agenda, and, they their information is not really as reliable as it should, because they have a different agenda. They want to force fit dates around what they believe in. If some reason they feel like they've gotten a a vision or a dream, or some other idea, saw something in the stars or whatever that lines up with a certain day, they will want to go in and try to make the Bible fit what they're seeing. And so you have to go out there and really, have somebody you trust, or go out there yourself and put your odds on the new moon on the 22nd yourself, if you really want to believe in what you know. Because, the most important day out of all of this is actually the Sabbath day. And if the first day of the month falls on Tuesday, that would make Wednesday the actual first work day of the month. There's Tuesday is the first day of the month, but Wednesday is the first work day of this month, Tammuz. And I say it again because a lot of people get choked up on that, they get hung up on that. The first day of the month is not a work day. It is a worship day. It is a day when the sanctuary is opened. It is, the day when the courts are open, a day when we can commune with the Father, just like the Sabbath day. There's special things that's going on in the spirit world on the new moon day. It is not a work day. Now, it doesn't have all of the restrictions as the Sabbath day does. You can make fires on the new moon day. You can cook on the new moon day. But it is just not a work day. The first work day will be on the 24th of the month. So if you start counting to get to the Sabbath day, that will be the 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, and 30th. Tuesday will be the Sabbath days. Now, it always works out like that you have the new moon day and the Sabbath day to fall on the same day of the week. For the next 4 weeks, it's going to fall on Tuesday. The Sabbath day is going to fall on Tuesday. Right now it's on Sunday. The 21st is actually a Sabbath day. The 21st of June is a Sabbath day, and this month is going to skip 2 days from Sunday to Tuesday. A lot of times it skips 1 day, and I know this is a wealth of information I'm putting out to you guys, but I'm doing that intentionally because I believe it's really important for us to understand how these days and these months work out, because we really want to get the feast days right. We really want to get the Sabbath days right. The Sabbath day this month, I'm talking about the month Sivan, the month that we're in now. The Sabbath day for Sivan is on Sunday, but that ends with the new moon. See how that month splits the month of June? Is because they don't line up correctly. When we have the new moon indicating that the 23rd of June is a new month, we will enter Tammuz. And every time we enter a new month, the Sabbath day changes. There's a lot of people arguing on whether the Sabbath day is on a Saturday or the Sabbath day is on a Sunday. Thing is, it's on neither one. It changes every single month. Every time we have a new moon, the Sabbath day changes. Now, it should be real easy to understand why man rejected that idea, because he wanted us all to come to work on the same day. It would have been, really tough for, Mr. Boss Man to have us showing up on different, days of the week, talking, about when the work day started, when the work week started, and all of that. So to keep it consistent, one of the benefits of the Gregorian calendar is that it kept the days stationary, kept the work week stationary, whereas the Hebrew calendar, the sacred calendar, is constantly moving. At least it appears that way when you look at it from the Gregorian calendar standpoint. It looks like it's constantly moving, but it actually is not. It's following the lunar cycle. It's following what the moon says do. And so when we have the new moon on the new moon day, we will see the new moon on the 22nd. Let me start over. We will have a Sabbath day on the 21st, At the end of that Sabbath day, we'll go out and we'll look to see the moon and verify that there is no moon in the sky at the end of the Sabbath day. That's important because when we go out there to see it on the evening of the 22nd, we want to be sure that that is actually the first time that it was seen. On the evening of the 22nd is when we will blow the trumpets, we'll blow the horns, so to speak, and let everybody know that the new month has started. It starts at the evening that they see it. Remember that they can only see the moon after the sun has gone down. And so right after the sun has gone down, that starts the new day, putting the new month starting on the 23rd. When you go to bed on the 22nd and when you wake up on the 23rd, you will actually be on the first day of the month, which is a worship day. You'll start work on the 24th day of the month. That's when you'll go back to doing your work activities, and you will work all the way up until you get to the 7th day of the week, which is actually on Tuesday, the 30th. And then the 7th of July will be a Sabbath day, and you keep going like that. So another thing that's in the news as far as this month, this fourth month is concerned, is the whole Mayan calendar. You guys may have heard that the Mayan calendar is back in the news. They are predicting this June 21st date. First of all, they're saying that there's something went wrong with the Mayan calendar back there in 2012, how somehow they had miscalculated and came up with the year 2012 because they were using a Gregorian calendar and they were supposed to have been using a 354-day calendar. And because they were using a 365-day calendar instead of the 354-day calendar, and so with that, they ended up that they was 8 years off. That it was supposed to be 2020 that the Mayan calendar was pointing to. Now, you note that they're also pointing to June 21st of the Mayan calendar, which, like we said, is somewhere around the first day of summer. It's probably has something to do with some of the other luminary cycles that's going on. But like I said earlier, there's nothing that says that we're supposed to use a 354-day calendar in the scripture at all. We're never told to do that. What they're getting from the 354-day calendar is that they're just looking at the moon itself, and we're told not to do that. That's what Enoch was pointing to, and that's what the scripture was pointing to. It wasn't just Enoch, it was also Jubilees, and I believe Jasher mentioned it too, that we couldn't really go strictly by the moon in order to determine the years, because the years would come in 12 days too early, and we would end up doing just what they are suggesting that was done with the Mayan calendar there, and pointing to 2012 or pointing to 2020. But all I'd add to that discussion is that, it's never really supposed to have been a 354-day calendar in the first place. If they really wanted to calculate, if they somehow believe that the Mayans got it wrong because they used the wrong calendar, then they really have to go with a 364-day calendar, which is the only thing that means anything. You can have a Mayan calendar, you can have a Gregorian calendar, you can create your own calendar. But when it comes to the true cycles of the world, the ebbs and flows of all of humanity, you have to go by the Father's sacred calendar. That's the only one that really means anything. So I don't mean to try to take away from what they're saying. I don't try to make predictions, and to say nothing is going to happen is also making a prediction. But I do want to point out that they are still yet using the wrong calendar to come up with 2020. However, I have done on my channel several classes that does indicate that the year 2020 is a significant year. And that's exactly what we was talking about earlier, how they try to force something in order to fit what they believe in. The scripture itself actually points to 2020. When you jump over in Daniel chapter 12 and you look at the timing that was given to Daniel there at the end of Daniel chapter 12, it actually points to the year 2020. And I've done several videos on this, how it calculates up to the year 2020, so you can check my channel for those. But I believe what they're doing is they're trying to force the Mayan calendar around that date as well, trying to make it work. So anyway, I thought I would just add that little bit in there. If you got anything out of this video, go ahead and hit the like button. If you didn't, go ahead and hit the dislike button. If you like this type of content, where we look at scripture and where we look at dates and how the sacred calendar points out to dates and how we use the Bible to point out the dates, go ahead and subscribe to our channel, because we put this type of information out all of the time. We always are, telling you when the feast days are, when the Sabbath days are, and that kind of thing. It's really important to our channel, as we are the repairers of the breach, repairing the paths to dwell in. All right, guys, with that, I'm going to say shalom.